Hey everyone, it's Vicky, and I'm here with Alex axeltoss Rodriguez, here to speak with us in regards to the recent events of MLG parting ways with Blizzard. With that said, obviously StarCraft 2 has been booted off of that Major League Gaming roster, and with that, a lot of changes have been made, and that started, I guess, a spiral of uncertainty for StarCraft 2. I was actually really curious, and I wanted to ask you about your opinion of this matter. I guess the first thing we can start with is you work for Major League Gaming, and have you, as a StarCraft 2 caster for Major League Gaming, felt a threat in the security of your position?
Okay, so there's a lot of misperception out there. The first thing you said, I think, was that StarCraft 2 is booted off the circuit or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know much. I don't know how much I can say, but that was basically a decision that was made for Columbus, because the same weekend as Columbus is that Red Bull event in New York.
Okay.
It's a $50,000 tournament. So as far as I know, I mean, logically it doesn't really make much sense. If it's, MLG is about, presenting competition at the highest level for professional gamers and entertaining an audience. And if there's a Red Bull event going on literally the same weekend, it's, there might be issues behind the scenes, but obviously from a business perspective, if there's already a $50,000 StarCraft 2 tournament happening on the same weekend, it doesn't make much sense, to run a StarCraft 2 event at Columbus. So a lot of people were like, oh, they just saw one tweet from Sundance, and they're like, oh, StarCraft 2 is gone. Yeah. See ya. Bye, StarCraft and MLG. Nice to see you. It was fun. No, I mean, I feel like that perception is a little bit misguided.
Okay.
Because as far as I know, as far as I feel, like, StarCraft 2 is awesome. It gets great viewers. And MLG just made the decision that, okay, this huge Red Bull tournament is happening on that weekend. Maybe it doesn't make much sense to have StarCraft 2 at Columbus, because, it makes business sense. So I just wanted to address that point first. And then you asked about security. I feel like I'm going to keep trying to do as much StarCraft 2 stuff as possible, but as far as my personal ideals and like why I joined Major League Gaming, obviously StarCraft 2 is my game. It's what I started with. It's amazing. I love it. It's my favorite game out there, probably. But, I'm a gamer, right? I play all games. I play Hearthstone. Growing up, I play Halo, I played all the games. So it's one of those things where me personally, I'm really for competitive gaming succeeding. As far as which games those are, obviously games I enjoy preferably, but I love the aspect of, the best players from each game coming together and then finding out who's the best. And the fact that there can be professionals that can say that and can live, with that in mind, or, there are professional gamers that can be paid to play video games. That's the coolest thing in the world. And so as far as my position is concerned, MLG is, it's fantastic. It's the best. Like, their ideals and what they're after really coincide with what I think. So it's one of those things where StarCraft 2 is still going to be around, and I'm still going to try to do as much content as possible. But if there was a situation where StarCraft 2, I don't know, obviously all those stuff just happen. Long story short, I feel safe. Like, it's fun. I love what I do, and I'm looking forward to opportunities in the future, kind of a thing.
So you're speaking about how you're totally okay with just switching over to other games and stuff, preferably the ones you like, right? That's obviously, it must be difficult to adjust to that, though, because you have so much knowledge in StarCraft. How do you feel this would affect your, I guess, research in other games and your time having to research these new games or, whatnot? How do you feel, like, about that?
It's tough. It's like when MLG announces that they have a new game coming up, or a new game they're focusing content on. Obviously, I want to think about the things that will make that game better, or the things that will help that game succeed inside MLG. And it's one of those things where I'm not going to just start playing it, because when I play a game, I want it to be genuine and natural excitement. I don't want to play a game, just because someone told me to, or just to get paid or something like that. If I'm not interested in a game, I'm probably not going to play it. That being said, if MLG does choose a title, it's not one of those things where, again, I'll just jump into it and start playing kind of a thing. It's one of those things where I'll start thinking about it. Maybe I'll read a little bit about it. Maybe I'll go to the community forum and see what they're talking about it. Kind of get a good idea of what the game is about to see if I'm going to be interested in it. And if I feel a spark of, I love all games, right? So I'll play all games. And if I really like it, I'm going to keep trying to do stuff with it. So as far as difficulty, I guess I don't really see it that way. I see it more as like, what time do I have available and what time can I spend playing games and being interested in other games, and obviously finding new opportunities for MLG as far as maybe there's a game I really love. I'm going to try to maybe see if we can get MLG involved with it, kind of a thing. So, I love StarCraft. StarCraft's amazing, and I'm going to keep trying to do content with it. But as much time, I spend as much time as possible thinking about other games too, and trying to see what opportunities there are for the ultimate goal, which is growing esports and bringing the best video gamers together.
Okay, fair enough. What are your thoughts in regards to where StarCraft 2, where the scene currently stands, and I guess the future of it in esports?
I think it's amazing. I think it's getting bigger and bigger. I feel like more people are watching video games. Streaming sites are getting bigger. Production is getting better, and everyone's making themselves just get better. Like competitors, they keep one-upping each other. They keep feeding ideas off each other. And it keeps getting better and better. WCS is doing great things. They're getting great viewership. Finally, that constant, consistent viewership and show that you can come home from work or you can check out a rebroadcast. It's on all the time. I think the numbers are getting bigger and bigger. As far as the pro scene is concerned, as far as the pro players playing, it's a little bit trickier because obviously there's the whole conversation behind WCS and should region logging exist? Are the opportunities going away for North American players? But we're seeing companies like Red Bull come out, reserve a weekend, try to get out there MLG again, trying to find stuff we can do on a daily basis or on weekends, which is ridiculously tough, but we try to provide opportunities for those North American players. So overall, StarCraft 2, it's getting more viewers than ever, and it's going to continue growing as far as viewership is concerned. And the level of play has been amazing. Like that last WCS we had was absolutely phenomenal. The games you can watch where you can actually make decisions based on balance, because that's how good the players are, where they're actually borderline breaking the game with the strategy that they're using. The main concern I have might be the preservation of the North American and European scene as far as players are concerned. But I think as long as viewership is there, that should be just fine in the long run.
Do you think that aspiring StarCraft, like North American StarCraft 2 players, should have something to worry about in regards to whether or not they can actually make it or not?
It's so tricky because there's so many different variables as far as becoming a pro or becoming like whatever that means anymore, right? You look at In Control, done a great job commenting, being a personality, hosting. He started out as a player, but then he branched out and did that stuff. He has an amazing personality. He's really funny. The same can be said of like Tyler. There's these players like Idra, right? So, or Artosis. So it's like everyone has to establish their goal. What do they want to do? What do they want to be? If you want to be a pro player, you got to be like Daniel. You got to play 8 hours a day. If you want to be a popular player that gets a lot of stream viewers, you got to start up a stream. Show your personality, and go after every opportunity out there, and be okay with not being the best, kind of thing, like a Destiny in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the lines are not that clear there in between all of those different possibilities as an aspiring North American professional player, whatever that means. But I think the priority for all aspiring players should be focus on your priorities, school, stuff like that. In your free time, see what you can do. Find out what you're interested in. If you like playing StarCraft, just keep playing. If you're doing really well, then keep on with it. But always focusing on the priorities and making sure you're not, putting yourself in a hole or overcommitting to something.
Okay. Someone came to me and actually wanted me to ask you if you thought that, I guess without like WCS or without Red Bull, without MLG, do you think that Blizzard would be capable of hosting an event on their own as large as MLG for StarCraft based on StarCraft only?
Well, haven't they been doing that with WCS? I guess I don't understand the question.
Like if there wasn't any of that, like, if there wasn't WCS or any like partnering with them, if it was just them on their own.
Oh, okay. Like if they didn't have any partners. Well, I think that's the goal of Blizzard. Like, I feel like Blizzard, they wanted to make something that has to do with StarCraft 2 and esports, and they wanted to do it really fast because nowadays in esports it moves so fast that Blizzard is such a large company. Activision Blizzard is such a large company that for something to happen there, I feel like it would take 2 to 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 months, 2 years kind of a thing before they can really get a plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something against them. It's just such a large company. It's hard to make those decisions really fast. So I feel like they made that decision like, all right, we want to get this WCS content started. Let's find out what partners we can work with so we can get it started right away. And eventually, we'll pull it all together or some kind of a thing. So maybe it's one of those. They need the partners to succeed right now because they're just not big enough to do it all on their own kind of a thing. So maybe in the future they could do it, but I don't even know if they would want that. I think they're happy with the NASL partner and ESL partner, so maybe they don't even want that. But if they had to, I think they probably could.
All right. So I've been doing a lot of looking around on the web and stuff, trying to see how people are reacting to this. There's numerous posts online, Reddit and whatnot, that shows that fans are not exactly taking the change lightly. As a Major League Gaming StarCraft 2 caster, do you feel that the fans are making it seem more severe than it actually is?
Change as far as...
As far as parting ways with Blizzard or, not having the StarCraft 2 at that MLG event.
Oh, okay. So this is in context of MLG. So yeah, that goes back to the perception of people thinking that MLG and SE2 are splitting, which I think is a little. I mean, obviously, it's really difficult to make content that people will watch because there's live events. There's a lot. WCS is every day. It's live. People are always going to watch that. So you don't want to clash with that. And that's 6 hours. No, that's how many hours in a day? That's 18 hours every day. Yeah. It's Korea, Europe, and America. So. It's not one of those things where it's oh, we hate StarCraft 2, we're going to stop kind of thing. It's one of those things where it's remarkably difficult to come up with content and to find an appropriate time slot for the content. So a strategy we've been employing is, stuff from the past, old videos that are actually really cool, classic moments, and that's done fairly well. And that's something that we can do. It's not terribly difficult, but it is obviously a little bit hard tracking down all those best moments, but providing that coverage that people will still watch, even though there's still 20 hours of content from WCS on the readily available. And I understand I'm getting away from the original question, but it's not about MLG and SC2 splitting up. It's about MLG trying to find as many opportunities as possible to make StarCraft happen, but sometimes it's just impossible. Kind of in a situation where, back to the example, Red Bull having a $50,000 event on a weekend that Columbus is already slated. So it's it's not oh, we hate StarCraft. It's okay, well this other event is going to be awesome. We're probably not going to get a lot of viewers if we do our own stuff. Maybe we'll not do it at this event, kind of a thing. So
okay.
I hope that answers the question.
No, it does. I actually had a question just pop up in my head, though, because I remember when I first heard about this whole thing, it headlined as Blizzard, parting ways with MLG. What you're saying is kind of not the case. Wasn't there something that said that it was because MLG didn't want to? I'm not sure if you can go into this.
Okay, so now we're back to when MLG hosted WCS?
No, now we're back to basically I want to know, you're saying that it's not that MLG split with StarCraft 2. But when this whole thing happened, the headlines were saying how it was because MLG didn't want to pay for Blizzard's fees that they were charging and stuff. Do you know if any of that is actually true, or was it just because of the whole clashing of events kind of thing?
I'm not sure how much I can say. Okay. There is stuff behind the scenes regarding that.
You don't overall, have to if you're not comfortable.
Yeah, no, I can answer it, politically correctly. The overall scheme of things, the grand scheme of things, is 2 events on the same weekend.
Yeah.
Right. It can't work, kind of a thing.
Of course.
That's ultimately what it comes down to. There was stuff that happened behind the scenes, but I can't talk on behalf of that. It's just, 2 events on the same weekend doesn't make much sense for either party. So
we'll leave it at that. So obviously from what you're saying, you don't believe that StarCraft is dying out at all, right?
I think that's the silliest suggestion that a lot of people make, but I do not think that's true.
Have you found yourself facing any major difficulties during this?
Regarding in my personal life or something like that?
Oh, as far as your job, in general, I know you said that you still feel like there's nothing wrong with your security. You still feel secure.
I mean, I mean, obviously, I started with StarCraft, and obviously I loved it. I still love it. I had a blast with WCS Season 1. I made a lot of mistakes, I think, but I feel like I learned a lot. And of course, it was taken away from MLG because of so many reasons behind the scenes. But obviously, you kind of sucks. It's WCS America. It's the premier tournament in America, and it was a lot of fun. It went away, so that was a little tough. But I mean, if you spend time thinking, like, there's nothing I can do to change that, right? So if I spend too much time thinking about it and being sad about it, that doesn't make sense. So, for me, it's just like, it happened, whatever. I'm going to move on. I'm going to find out what else I can do to help things, or find out how I can help make StarCraft grow, how I can make esports grow, and WCS, they can do their thing. That's fine. It's great, and if I can help, fantastic. I'll help any way I can. But it's for me, it's all about finding out what I can do to help things, and not worrying about things I can't control.
Okay, that's good. I've heard that fans have been canceling Major League Gaming subscriptions and asking for refunds. Do you feel that this has affected MLG significantly at all?
Oh my gosh. That like, when I saw that made me so sad. It's one of those things where I went on vacation for a week, and then I came back, and it was all like that. And it's like, obviously you work hard to build a brand, StarCraft 2 at MLG, and you want it to be the best that it can be, and you think 24/7 about it, how to make it better, how to improve things, how to dodge all the other streams, all the other events, all the other shows that are going on, and try to make stuff that that people will watch, that people will enjoy. And at the same time, try to help out the pro players by putting on awesome events that they'll get some exposure in and that they'll get paid money for. And then you come in and you see that people are unsubscribing from this movement for whatever reason. This idea that if we click this button to unsubscribe, to stop giving money, maybe it'll go away. Maybe StarCraft 2 MLG will go away, or I don't even know what the idea behind it is really. But as a guy who's obviously trying to make that content, to trying to do everything he can, and to help StarCraft 2 and to help esports, it obviously sucks, right? It sucks to see people unsubscribing. It like, whenever I'm hosting a stream, or whenever I'm helping with the stream, and it's kind of the same idea, and the stream goes down for like a minute. Like, it is the most painful thing ever. It is ridiculous pain. I'm there. I'm helpless. I can't do anything about it. Some issue with internet or Twitter, whatever issue it is. It's one of those things where losing those viewers, it personally hurts me, kind of a thing. Does that sound weird? It might sound weird.
No, it makes sense.
I mean, I feel like it's a good mentality. It keeps my motivation up, as far as I don't want to, I don't want to lose viewers. Like, less people watching is a bad thing. So, my perspective as far as that's concerned, it sucked when I saw that. People unsubscribing from MLG SC2. And as soon as I saw that, I try to make myself open. I try to help as much as I can. I try to answer all the questions. I don't know everything, obviously. I don't know everything in MLG. But I can do what I can to try to help make the content that I'm focusing on better. And so when I look at that stuff, it sucks. It does suck, but
as far
again,
as like
yeah, go ahead.
As far as the money that was lost with the paid subscriptions, again, did that affect MLG greatly at all, or not really?
I don't know. It's one of those things where, that's a good point. Like, I don't worry as much about the money necessarily. It's more about those people. They're literally unsubscribing from MLG SC2, which tells me they're just not interested in StarCraft 2 at MLG anymore, right? It's more along that line of these people who are coming together and just collectively making the decision to not support StarCraft 2 at MLG, or to not support StarCraft 2, or not support MLG. That's what gets me the most. So I don't worry as much about whatever the monetary losses are, or it's just the fact that people are coming together and making that decision that kills me the most.
Okay. If possible, and again, I'm not sure how much you can go into this, can you inform us of any future plans for Major League Gaming in regards to StarCraft 2 involvement? I know you said that the sole reason was kind of, well, not sole reason, but the main reason because the two events at the same time kind of thing. Is there any plans on I guess, discussing with WCS or Red Bull in terms of like splitting event times or dates?
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure that's happening behind the scenes. Again, I don't know everything, and I can't speak on a lot of things, but you know, MLG I feel like is always open to working with other events to help make things better or to help improve logistics or to help increase viewership across the board. Like, I'm all for people coming together, having conversations, and finding out how they can collectively make things better. And I'm sure MLG feels the same way. It's like, for example, this weekend we're providing coverage for IEM. Last weekend, for their tournament, the qualifiers from New York City. The last 2 weekends ago, we helped cover Landhammer in California. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're a big tournament, talk to me. Like, we can. I've been given permission to help out. Like, it's one of those things where I hate that idea that's out there that, everyone has to be enemies and there can't be any working together. And there absolutely can, and there absolutely is. That is happening. It's not like everyone is trying to shoot each other in the foot. I hope it's not like that. I hope it's more, there's a bigger picture here, and the bigger picture is getting the masses involved with esports and StarCraft 2 and video games or whatever, and getting them interested in the competitive aspect of it. And I feel it makes the most sense, and I feel like hopefully behind the scenes it's happening. People come together and helping make things thrive. Does that make sense? It's not like everyone has a gun to each other's head kind of a thing, is what I'm trying to say.
Of course, understood. Is there anything that you would want the fans and, like, I guess the unfans to know in regards to esports in general, or, keeping a faith in esports?
Keep an open mind. Don't feel restricted to anything. I feel like or don't feel, it's great to have passion for something. That's fantastic. I love that. It's great to really love something and to really be, physically, emotionally, whatever, invested into something that you love. I think that's fantastic. But when it gets to a point where people start, I don't know, bashing on other games or, creating pitchfork threads, stuff like that, I think that's really counterproductive. You can relate it to all the games, like Call of Duty, League of Legends, StarCraft 2. There are going to be people playing these games, supporting these games, so they love it, which is great. But then they'll see something else happening, or, for some reason they see another game doing well, and they're like, oh, they're doing well, I don't like that, or whatever. Whatever goes through their head, they start bashing on it, or they start, doing what they do, kind of a thing. So my message would be, love your game, that's great. But, have some flexibility. Maybe check out some Call of Duty. Maybe check out some StarCraft or some League of Legends. Maybe check out an interview, or maybe watch one of the professional games there. Give it a chance, because it's not one of those things where only one video game will succeed as an esport. That's just not how it works. Honestly, the way I think, if one really succeeds, like League of Legends or whatever, if one video game gets really successful, I'm one of those guys who thinks, that'll help bring the other ones up, rather than it'll crush the other ones. That's kind of my mentality on the matter.
Okay, and before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want us to know, or want to just put out there?
No, just thank you for having me on and having this interview. Best of luck to you and Clarity Gaming. I love the effort that you guys are showing.
Thank you.
And I would encourage more people to be like Vicky. I mean, go out and, maybe it's your free time. Maybe you're not getting paid, but try to find out what you can do, your talents, to help make things better. I mean, it might be hard, but, at least get started rather than not doing it at all, kind of a thing. So, again, thanks for having me on. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, at axeltoss is my Twitter. If you have any ideas, email me. Seriously. Any ideas regarding esports, I will read that email, and I will deeply consider it. My email is alex@mlg.tv. And I think that's all I got.
All right, well, there we go. The opinions of Alex axeltoss Rodriguez. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please subscribe. Of course, go follow axeltoss, and definitely email him your concerns or your questions. And again, like you said, he'll respond. I am hoping to speak to other esports personalities in regards to the same subject, maybe the same questions, we'll see. It's going to be really interesting seeing different points of views, and I thank you so much for being here and taking the time to discuss this with me. Good luck to you, and have a good day.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.